So when we think of social media, we always think of places like Facebook or MySpace. But I think the idea of social networking or social media have always existed in areas such as video games. So if we look at the history of social media, we see the early predecessors such as forums or like chat rooms. And that sort of environment have always existed in video games. So let's take the example of a game like World of Warcraft or EverQuest. Communication and interaction with other gamers is a very important element of these games. So let's say you want to do a raid or a quest. So you take other people into these quests, and the whole game depends on the idea of teamwork, of communication, of having these clans or these groups and things like that. And even in Bangladesh, we can see a big surge of these clans or groups, professional groups, such as in Dota, we see Red Vipers or other clans that have professionally broken into this whole system, this whole sphere of social media networking. So, and that sort of tells us the scope of social media, and that not only does it only have to rely on these popular networks such as Facebook or other media, but it can also proliferate into other media such as games. And this, as I've said before, that this is a very important part of online gaming and it's not only that gaming is just dependent on communication and all that, it also says a lot about how the human emotion, how the human mindset works in these small frameworks. So, for example, when I used to play World of Warcraft, I've even met people who have met inside the game and they even got married in real life. That tells you the scope of what social media can do. Even though it's a video game, two people from, let's say, different countries, they meet each other and they get to know each other through the game and they create this relationship. And if we look at all the clans and the guilds, we always see that there is a certain relationship with everyone that works together. Right, so we see that there is a guild leader, we see that there are people who will do certain professions and whatnot. To me, I think that transcends what we know as social media. That to me is essentially something more than social media. Because it's not only people communicating with each other, it's people doing more than that. They're doing tasks together, they're doing jobs together. Even though it's a virtual space, they do a lot of things together. And that to me is just amazing, because then we can redefine what social media means to this day. It can't just be Instagram, it's not just Facebook, it's more than that. So when we say social media, I don't think that word have always existed in the mainstream media. So I think things such as video games and other ways of communicating, people don't really label this as social media. But I think that it really deserves that title in some way or the other, because what people essentially doing is not only communicating, but they're also forging these relationships. And video games and other networks have always done what social media has done now. So in a way we can say that this thing, even though not being called social media, has existed for a long time. Even before all these mainstream groups such as Facebook, MySpace, and all other platforms came into being.